always knew my parents treated my son, Aiden, like he was some kind of stain on their clean little world, but I didn't realize how deep their disgust went until the day they locked us out like we were contagious. Before that moment, I still carried a little hope, stupid, soft hope, that maybe one day they would look at him and see a child instead of a burden. Instead, all they ever showed him was distance, annoyance, and coldness so sharp it could freeze air. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. Growing up, I was the family doormat. My mom, Janice, called it keeping the peace, but really it meant I stayed quiet while they worshipped my brother Kyle and treated everything I did like it was an inconvenience. Kyle was the golden child, the one who never caused trouble, even when his trouble involved wrecking cars, skipping classes, and once setting our shed on fire because his friends dared him. Mom cried for a week because boys make mistakes. When I got a B- in math, Dad grounded me, saying I was ruining the family standard. So I learned early that fairness wasn't something my parents cared about. But when I had my son at 26, I foolishly believed they'd soften. I imagined them becoming doting grandparents, maybe even apologizing for how they treated me. Instead, their cruelty simply shifted target, from me to Aiden. He was 5, gentle, sensitive, a quiet little boy who loved drawing dinosaurs and always held his stuffed fox by its tail. And because he wasn't loud, athletic, or a carbon copy of their beloved Kyle, they acted like he didn't exist. They sneered at his drawings, saying he scribbled like a toddler. They ignored him at dinners. They rolled their eyes when he asked questions. And every time he tripped or spilled something, Mom muttered, just like his mother, always causing problems. The worst part was how Aiden tried so hard to earn their love. He'd bring them flowers from the yard. He'd draw them pictures. He'd greet them with shy little smiles. And every single time, they reacted like he was offering them trash. That Saturday morning was bright and warm, the kind of weather that makes you think nothing bad could happen. I'd taken Aiden to ride his scooter in the park near my parents' house because they insisted we spend more time as a family. I should have known they meant I should spend more time helping them, not that they wanted us. They were hosting Kyle's girlfriend for brunch and needed an extra pair of hands. We were heading back to the house when it happened. 1 second, Aiden was scooting ahead of me, laughing at a squirrel that darted up a tree. The next second, a teenage boy on a bike flew around the corner too fast. I barely had time to scream. The metal frame hit Aiden's side with a sickening thud. He flew sideways, skidding across the pavement. His cry tore through me. The bike kid didn't even stop, just yelled sorry, and kept going like he'd brushed a leaf instead of a child. I dropped to my knees, heart pounding so loud it drowned the world. Aiden's palms were scraped raw, blood mixing with dirt. His knee was cut open so deep I saw more red than skin. And the worst part, he wasn't breathing right. He made these short, gasping little sounds, holding his chest like it hurt too much to inhale. "It's okay, baby. I'm here. I'm here." My voice shook as I lifted him into my arms, his small fingers digging into my shirt. He was trembling so hard I thought he'd shake apart. We were only a block from my parents' house. I ran, half carrying, half dragging him because he couldn't stand. His feet scraped the sidewalk, but he couldn't walk and I couldn't stop. Every step felt like fire in my legs, but I just kept thinking, they'll help. They have to help. He's their grandson. I stumbled onto their porch, my breath burning in my lungs. I banged on the door with my elbow because both arms were wrapped around my bleeding son. "Mom! Dad! Open the door!" My voice cracked. "Aiden's hurt! Please hurry!" I heard footsteps inside. Relief washed through me too quickly. Mom's voice floated through the wood, calm, irritated, cold. "What is it now, Emma? We're busy." "Please, he's bleeding everywhere. He needs—" "Don't bring that inside," Dad snapped from behind her. "Injuries attract bad luck." I froze. I thought I heard wrong. "Dad, open the door. He got hit by a bike. He's in pain." Mom cut me off with a sharp hiss. "We don't need that kind of energy in our house today. Blood, crying, chaos. It spreads." I stared at the door like it had slapped me. "He's 5. He's hurt." Kyle's voice chimed in, bored and annoyed. Seriously? Take him somewhere else. Don't ruin brunch." My knees almost buckled. Aiden whimpered weakly against my chest. "Mommy, hurts." That sound jolted me back. I slammed my palm against the door so hard it stung. "Open it! Open it now!" The lock clicked. For one stupid, hopeful second, I thought they'd changed their mind. That maybe, finally, the sight of their grandson bleeding would force something human out of them. But the click wasn't the sound of them unlocking it. It was the sound of them locking it twice. And then Mom said through the door, voice flat as concrete, "Go to urgent care or whatever. Just don't bring that inside. Bad luck spreads." Something inside me shattered so cleanly it felt silent. My chest filled with a cold, steady rage I'd never felt before. Not the kind that explodes, the kind that sharpens. I held Aiden tighter. His head rested on my shoulder, sticky with sweat and tears. His small body shook every time he breathed. "Okay," I whispered, not to them, to myself. "Okay. I understand now." I staggered down the steps, my arms aching from holding him so long. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. I could feel their eyes judging me through the blinds, as if my son was filth on their porch. At urgent care, I carried him in covered in dirt and blood. The nurse rushed to us the moment she saw his knee. "Oh my God, what happened?" she breathed, guiding us quickly. Aiden clung to me like he was afraid if he let go, he'd fall apart. When the doctor cleaned his wounds, he screamed, a sound that shredded every piece of me. I held his hands, whispering to him, kissing his forehead, promising it would be okay. He needed stitches, pain meds, bandages wrapped around his tiny leg. The doctor asked gently, "Was he hit by a car?" "No," I whispered. "A bike, and my parents wouldn't let us in the house." The doctor paused. "I'm sorry?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. When Aiden finally slept against me in the hospital bed, I stared at the wall and replayed every second of that locked door, every insult, every eye roll, every time they treated him like garbage, every time they made him feel unwanted. Something changed in me that day, permanently. I realized they didn't deserve him. They didn't deserve me. They deserved something else entirely, something they never saw coming. And I would give it to them, not poetic, not quiet, not gentle. A revenge so fitting they'd choke on the bad luck they tried to avoid. The next morning, Aiden was still asleep at the hospital, curled against my arm, his leg bandaged, his breaths steady but fragile. I stared at him for a long time, tracing the small bruises blooming across his ribs, the scratches on his palms, the stitched-up wound on his knee. Every mark on his body had a matching mark inside me, rage, disgust, clarity. Around noon, my phone buzzed. Dad, then Mom, then Kyle. I didn't answer any of them, but I read the texts. Dad, "We didn't mean it like that. You always overreact." Mom, "Are you still mad? We had guests, Emma. You embarrassed us." Kyle, "Just apologize and come clean the house when you're done. Mom's stressed." Apologize. They locked their bleeding grandson outside, and somehow I owed them an apology. Something snapped in my chest, not loud, not dramatic, just clean, final. When a social worker came to the room to check on Aiden, standard procedure when a child has significant injuries, she asked if I had family support. For the first time, I told the full truth, every detail, every pattern, every insult, every dismissal. And finally, the door incident. Her face hardened. "Emma, what they did qualifies as neglect. You don't owe them anything." Those words were oxygen. While Aiden rested, I made calls. Quiet, intentional, strategic, not screaming, not emotional. I contacted the Homeowners Association president, who lived 3 houses from my parents and had always adored Aiden. I contacted their church's community coordinator, who'd once told me my parents hid things. I contacted the neighborhood safety committee, because the moment my parents locked an injured child outside, they crossed into territory they never expected me to understand. I wasn't reporting them to police. I wasn't going viral. I wasn't freezing their accounts or taking their home. No, my revenge would be personal, direct, and perfectly targeted. By early evening, I walked into my parents' neighborhood with Aiden's crutches tucked under my arm, heading to pick up a few of our things from their house. As I stepped onto their block, blinds lifted on every window. Neighbors whispered on porches. One woman gasped softly, hand covering her mouth when she saw Aiden's bandaged leg. They had already heard. Good. I reached the driveway as my mom burst through the door, face bright red, voice sharp. "Emma, what have you done? People are talking!" Dad came right behind her, chest puffed like he owned the street. "Fix this, right now." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't step back. I didn't say anything, I said calmly. I just told the truth when people asked why my son was covered in blood. Mom's face twitched. "You made us look like monsters." "No," I replied quietly. "You did that yourselves." Her mouth opened, but I lifted my hand. The movement froze her like she'd hit a wall. "You locked your injured grandson outside. You refused him safety. And now the people you care about most, your friends, your church, your neighbors, they know exactly who you are." Dad took a step forward, furious. "You think you won? We'll tell everyone you're lying." "You can try." I handed him a folded paper. He unfolded it slowly, his face draining. A written statement from the social worker documenting what happened. "If you call me a liar," I said, voice ice cold, "I will send copies to every person on that street, your church board and your HOA board, and all of them will believe the professional who saw Aiden's injuries. Not you." Mom stumbled back like I'd shoved her. And I wasn't done. I leaned in just enough for only them to hear. "This isn't revenge yet. This is just the truth, catching up." I turned around, helping Aiden into the car without another word. They watched us leave, pale, shaking, terrified, not of losing face, but of losing control, exactly where I wanted them. I didn't go straight home after leaving their house. I drove Aiden to my apartment, settled him on the couch with a blanket and his stuffed fox, made him soup, kissed his forehead, and waited until he fell asleep peacefully. Then I opened my laptop. Revenge wasn't going to be loud or flashy. It wasn't going to involve police raids or viral posts. It was going to hit them exactly where it hurt most: their reputation, their comfort, and every ounce of public respect they worshipped. And this time, I wouldn't be reacting. I'd be the one choosing the battlefield. The next morning, I returned to their neighborhood with Aiden in his stroller, doctor's recommendation, since he couldn't put weight on his leg yet. I wasn't going to hide him. I wanted them to see the consequences they created. They were outside already, pacing on the porch. Mom's eyes went wide when she saw us approaching. Dad muttered, "Jesus Christ," under his breath. But they couldn't yell. Not anymore. Too many neighbors were already outside, pretending to water lawns or check mail. I walked straight past them to the house 2 doors down, the HOA president, Mrs. Carver. She practically ran to me. "Oh my goodness, sweetheart. How's the little one? We've all been so worried." Loud enough for the entire street, including my parents, to hear. I told her Aiden was improving and thanked her for checking on us. Then, when she asked if there was anything she could do, I said the exact line I'd been waiting to say. "Well, I just don't think it's safe for Aiden to visit my parents' home anymore." Her eyebrows shot up. "Oh, why is that?" I didn't accuse. I didn't dramatize. I simply said in a steady voice that carried across the lawn, "They locked the door on him when he was bleeding. They told me injuries bring bad luck." Gasps echoed from nearby porches. Someone whispered, "Are you serious?" Another muttered, "That's disgusting." My mother stumbled backward, face drained. Dad's jaw clenched. "Emma, enough." I turned to him slowly. "I'm answering her question." Mrs. Carver placed a protective hand on my arm. "Honey, your parents said nothing happened. They claimed you fabricated the story because you're too emotional." I saw Mom shrink as the sentence hung in the air. Perfect. I crouched in front of the stroller and gently lifted Aiden's pant leg to show the stitched knee. "Does this look fabricated?" Mrs. Carver covered her mouth. "Oh, Lord." Neighbors drifted closer. Not crowding, just closing in enough that my parents felt cornered. Dad tried again. "This is a family misunderstanding. Stop making us look—" "Like what?" I said quietly. "Like the kind of people who lock out an injured child?" A murmur rippled through the street. Mom's face crumpled, not with guilt, but with fear. Public fear, reputation fear, the exact kind of fear they tried to use to control me for years. "I told you," she hissed quietly. "Bad energy spreads." "No," I cut in. "Cruelty spreads, and people here deserve to know the difference." That's when Mrs. Carver's husband walked over, holding a clipboard. "Emma, if you're uncomfortable with them watching Aiden, we can update the neighborhood access list." My parents both whipped their heads toward him. "What?" He spoke loudly enough for everyone to hear. "If someone endangers a child, we're authorized to restrict their access to community areas and family events. Safety. Protocol." Mom gasped. "You can't." "They can," I said, "and I'm formally requesting it." Pen scratched across paper. My parents' faces collapsed. But I wasn't done. I stood straight and looked at them, really looked at them, and felt nothing but clarity. "From now on, you don't get to hide behind your clean house and your perfect brunches. You don't get to pretend you're loving grandparents. You don't get to decide whether my son is good energy or bad luck." I stepped closer, my voice low and steady. "You're done teaching us pain." Dad swallowed hard. "Emma, please. This will ruin us." "No," I said. "This will show you." I turned to the neighbors, voice louder. "If anyone here ever sees my son at their door, please call me immediately. He's not safe there." Nods, concerned looks, agreement. The kind of united front my parents never expected. When I walked away, pushing Aiden's stroller, I heard them calling after me, quiet at first, then frantic. "Emma, wait! We can talk about this. We didn't mean—" "Don't do this! Emma!" I didn't turn around. They locked their own door to keep us out. Now, the whole neighborhood had locked them out instead. My revenge wasn't a moment. It was a shift, a permanent one. Aiden squeezed my hand from the stroller, voice small but sure. "Mommy, are we safe now?" I smiled, leaning down to kiss his forehead. "Yeah, baby," I whispered. "We finally are." Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.